Thank you so much, Bob, for having me read in the Historic Pen and Pencil Club. It's amazing. It's an honor to be reading with Anna Dell and Jim Corey. It's breathtaking. So I'm going to start with a poem that's going to be in the Stonewall's Legacy Anthology. It's published by Local Gems Press, and it's edited by Rusty Rose and Mark Rosen. And Rusty Rose was there at Stonewall. So I'm really excited to be part of that anthology. So this poem is called Straight Jacket. You need shoulders wider than your hips, but your hips can't swish. You need a wide crotch walk, not a prance or a mince. You need a deep bass voice, drop the lisp, the overly animated pitch. Put this jacket on so the shoulders slope. Let it manfully define you in the hope you present. Less fairy, more Mitch. We'll tighten it for safety and straighten you for life. Feel the lining of it. You'll be pining for it. Every last stitch and twitch. Here's my, I guess I need to have one, Philly poem, Lemon Hill. I sit here among the purple weeds of Lemon Hill, glancing down towards Boathouse Row, reflecting on the future probabilities of my former selves. Certain mistakes I have made led me to you, my love. I realize as I imagine you to be the cardinal I saw yesterday, rare and vibrant. If I made other mistakes, I wouldn't be here in Philadelphia. A more professional me would be sitting in a Babel High office building in Manhattan, or a fitter me would be speed walking under a cherry blossom tree in DC, with no time for beauty or stillness. The crew team carries their boats to the Schuylkill, eager to begin their practice rows. Some of them are about to make decisions that will affect their 20 years from now. Others will have an ordinary day. I wonder which of my important days led me to this peaceful moment on Lemon Hill, and which ordinary days were perfect in that they had no subsequent impact, in that they were self-contained, satisfied with themselves, and a meandering, inconsequential unspooling. Thank you. I'm going to read a few poems from my chapbook, Hard and Eyes on the Scan, published by Moonstone. I have copies for sale if you'd like to purchase some. The first poem is the first poem in the collection, and it's called Transformation. Couldn't be gay with me. They would have found you out. Sacrificed me to the gods of coolness, preferred cafeteria seat just under the window. Pride aglow in that space where sunlight kisses the fluorescent. Fag bashings not in your future, nor hazy threats of violence. Unfulfilled, but always lingering like the love for a linebacker in a world where fairy tales were edited, straightened, until you were transformed. Tragedy is, I and every blushing boy would have done the same, vanished into the masked expanse, the stud lean on lockers, safe forever popping Pringles into our mouths, rubbing wallet condoms, relishing fictitious tales of titties and lays, nonchalant smelling of the half-smoked cigarettes and bulging shirt pockets, macking on terras, but dreaming of the half-time fumbles under unconvinced bleachers, the guy-on-guy dry-humping proof it's not just a phase. This story is not told anymore. It lacks the moral and the pat happy ending. Thank you. This poem is for all those who remember with horror their high school biology class. Splayed on my slimy back, limbs rigid intact extension, smelling of formaldehyde. Ghoulishly crazed eyes stare at my altered form, as if they want to gnaw my legs French style and toss my carcass back into a fetid swamp. But no. They start poking me with sharp knives, tentatively at first, then with reckless feline glee, slicing my belly, squeezing my organs with cold tweezers, squawking with delight like mating loons. My dilated eyes focus on the surgical lights overhead, wishing there were a way to swim back to my lily pad and innocently swallow flies. Thank you. This poem is about a figure who appeared briefly in my childhood, but I guess had an outsized impact. A nunchuck girl. She was what we'd call at the time tomboy, maybe now gender non-binary, I'm not sure. And I was always going to the 7-Eleven as a child, so I guess it's a touchstone for me because of the candy. Nunchuck girl. I'm known as Nunchuck Girl, chicka chicka on the sidewalk, just my nunchuck, skateboard, and I against this manicured world. Learning to rebalance since my top is getting heavy from budding tits I hate. Skating over the scarily even sidewalks to 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee and to show off my mad tricks, new chucks, and nunchuck skills to the crew who spend half the day propped up against sky blue dumpsters reeking of rotten hot dogs and candy, or dodging respectful Ford Tauruses in the parking lot with their bikes and their boards. Just innocent thugs birthed out of suburbia's antiseptic uterus. They always laugh at me, but I like them. They know I am a girl, short hair and baggy boy tees aside, but they treat me like a dude. They even ignore my tits, unlike my stepdad, who thinks he's being sly, peering over his Miller Lite during commercial breaks. The guys are all right because of that. They don't razz the pretty girls who let their long-lasting bubblegum glide over impossibly shiny lip gloss, waiting for the tall boys to notice their hips slinking to the synthesized beat of Duran Duran or whatever song is blasting from an endlessly open car window of the slightly older kids with convertible smiles, bass walks, and revved up libidos that fully and maybe only flower in the heat of summer like a fruit fly doomed to live a single day. An excruciating loop of monotony that reaches its own eternal. I zoom past a nerdy 8-year-old and his older babysitter / girlfriend, hand in hand, pudgy, sweaty fingers laced with long, narrow ones. They stare at me as if they have never seen a boy / girl on a skateboard folding / unfolding her nunchucks. I'm used to stares in this everybody is the same town. The well-fed boy primed to raid the candy aisle asks, "What are those?" "Nunchucks," I yell, my voice trailing behind me like cigarette smoke, free, intoxicating, dangerous. I reach the parking lot, and it's as deserted as red dawn. No cars, no crew, no music. Did summer end and school start? Has Labor Day come and gone? I walk into the frigidly empty store, nunchucks clenched in my fist, ready to fight hidden guerrilla commies. "Miss." I turn. "I am sorry, but I will have to take those." A big new guy says from behind the counter. Looking down, my tits have grown overnight, stretching the baggy cotton. "No," I yell. "You can't bring weapons in here." He moves from behind the counter. I raise my arm to strike, but the nunchucks are snatched by his impossibly strong white palms before I can finish him. "Get out before I call the cops," the guy says, calmly. "Are there other nunchuck girls who have come in here?" I run back to my skateboard and wheel past the extremely slow fat kid and his girlfriend / babysitter. They see my empty hands, my enormous tits, my skateboard stumbles, and they glare at me in silence. A legend has been destroyed today, and these the unworthy witnesses. Thank you. This is my most recent edited poem about one of my favorite paintings in MoMA, The Moroccan by Henri Matisse. The Moroccan. I learned the gourds were not other heads bowed down in prayer and that you were alone among the flower pot and the minaret. I didn't know one could pray out of belief and not for show. How different you seem from my own compatriots who had usurped this Matisse with their artful piety. Heads erect, not bowed, Jesus or the Holy Spirit glistening from their conditioned roots to their designer sneaks. I understand you, solitary worshiper, although I don't comprehend, nay suffer from monotheism. No place for gays like me in it, so I reject it. Yet somehow I intuit you wouldn't reject me. You are painted too beautifully, too truthfully. The brushstrokes that comprise you suggest a heaven I've not been sold before. You take me out of this crowded museum space and into your peaceful cubist world. You beckon me to join you on the prayer rug, a communion in a Casbah without the sickeningly sweet wine. For once I can lose myself in the contemplation of God, if only for a few hazy moments, until someone jolts me or another painting not as serene catches my eye. Thank you. These next two poems are from a chapbook I have finished called Gay Cake. Really good guys. Not invited round for birthday cake with blue confetti sprinkles because parents thought our lisping was too sinister. Less apple pie and more tart tartan. Teachers stuck to their lesson plans while we were bullied on the playground. Taunts of gay, girl, sissy, left to whimper in the back of class, told insults build character, faggot keyed into our lockers, our hearts, our minds, our souls. I'm gonna jump that Catholic school faggot. Sick days became respites, childish threats morphed into drunken frat boys yelling, I'm gonna kill that faggot. Nah, he's not worth it. Should we be glad that our lives are spared or saddened to learn our lives are worthless? But they are really good guys, these white straight men, who tell us what is good enough for us, what rights we should have, tell us where we can buy cake. Thank you. The second poem is dedicated to Jamel Miles, and for those of you who may not know who he is, he was a boy who was 9 years old, who came out to his class, and 4 days later he killed himself because he was bullied to death. This poem's for him. Thoughts on a gay suicide, age 9. Were we 9 the first time someone called us faggot, gay, homo, queer, too femme for school? Did our classmates have the epithets then? Could we understand what they meant? Cower from their power? Could they smell it on us or hear it in the melody of our voices? See it in the way we threw a baseball? Did we stare too long at the other boys? Crushes killed before they could start. We knew the words to all of Madonna's songs and we could sing them in tune. Torn between cartoons and the worldliness that was thrust upon us. Trusted around China since we were gentle. Invited to tea parties where we combed ratty, unkempt hair of neglected Barbies. We had to listen to problems because children, even adults thought we were wise. Peter Natural when we were just trying to drown inappropriate boy concerns. But others locked the gate to us, so Bugs Bunny style we dug underneath convention and tried lipstick for FUD. Each day, innocently, we drew a line between us and them, deepening during puberty. Life shrunk to a muttered word. At 14, a good day involved not being called faggot. Always sounded like ribbit. And the croaked voice of a surly teen. Scrawniness covered in sweats and starter jackets. Puffing out unformed chests. Always about to jump us, but scared under the front. By 18, we cared less or endured more. Hate was internalized. Not as common, but present, when guys smirked under trees as we walked by alone, minds so alert to threats we could never daydream. Could we have been saved by a butch jock stance as our fathers thought sports stats would make the other boys warm to us? No room for the theatrical ones in the 80s. Had to learn to unlike the girl things, throw out Miss Piggy and fancy stickers, claim our favorite book was Tom Sawyer, not Wizard of Oz. Tried to be manly, but the growth spurts never came, so we stayed slender, small targets, and size 8s. Bullies can follow us into the bedroom now, screens, not streets away. It took only 4 days to kill Jamel, age 9, who learned how cruel the world is early. When he still liked sugary cereal, drew shaky figures in crayon with an untrained hand, was still under 5 feet tall. We are told it gets better, but where is the proof? Policy shields schools from consequences as a child is hounded to death. We ask you to imagine yourself at 9. Was suicidal ideation even a possibility? If so, This poem is dedicated to you. Thank you. I'm going to finish with some poems from my first full-length collection that I finished last month. It's about film, so I hope there's some film fans in the house. It's tentatively called Safer Behind Popcorn, and I'm really excited about it, so I hope you guys enjoy these poems. The first one is especially dedicated to horror movie fans. I know there's some in the house. Slasher film. First to die, maybe the second. Blood drips from neck slits after coitus. Slashed for fun, sin, revenge. Stare at the camera and long for your lost youth when you watched movies like this, with friends holding hands and sodas. You shrieked and then laughed. Vampiric harbingers of AIDS, the death warrant furtive sex in back seats or in coat piles topping those California kings. You learned on prime time if your hand is bigger than your face, you got it. Burst condoms to fling at the virgin who will live through all the sequels. Ran out of pig's blood for the prom prank. Never piss off a telekinetic. Do you want to fuck on the Exorcist stairs? I'll make your head spin. The color of the Georgetown sky is split pea soup. Prop your feet up, relax, and bask in phantasmagoria. A murder away from Halloween, a gory corpse shy of acceptance. Scream. Don't pick up the cut landline. Hunted on Elm Street, wide awake for the whole nightmare. Did your punk older brother wear the Jason or the Reagan mask? Both of them deathless serial killers with 3D viscera on their faces, torturing the promiscuous and porta potties, rocking in anticipation of the slaughter. Visions of choking on razor blades and tampered peanut butter cups are smothered in Jesus tracks from your preacher neighbor. A step ahead of the scary score, you encapsulate the condemnation, the casual phobias, the dead to burst from their graves to terrorize all. This is my ubiquitous, or I guess I need to have one, Oscar Wilde poem. Oscar goes wild at the movies. Thanks for the pun. We're depraved, you know. We murder. Self-loathing is our cologne, and it smells sickly sweet, floral, and mocking. Like the decay of morals we symbolize. Worn pansies wilting or daisies worrying a buttonhole when the censors cut too close. We've shared attics with Dorians. We've made the pilgrimage to trace lipstick kisses as they fade with Parisian rain into the Hopton woodstone of Oscar's tomb in the Père Lachaise. Movies were still silent when he died, but he got a cinematic view of America from the hopeful, sooty windows of his Pullman car. We kill ourselves in countless reels, or finally are struck down by nature, complicit in the condemnation of our degeneracy. The cartoonish dollar signs of Hollywood minds, Pavlov to salivate at scandal as long as it does not encompass them. Pain for human consumption, splashed across variety for your consideration ads with the dying homo monster, or perhaps the strong, square, handsome hero who vanquishes us. We have been directed to lie still, defenseless, pistol-whipped and hog-tied. We are taught to fear the expanse of the prairies, the one-room schoolhouses, the John Waynes with compensating Smith and Wessons. We avoid them early. We don't line up for Gibson films. We cross the street for the men with the walk of a basher. Their shouted epithets become our newly christened names, something we have in common with the closeted found art stud stars. We yearn to make our own films that will play in dilapidated movie palaces with lonely men flashlight forced to sit 2 rows apart, but where, with a long reach, the endings can approximate joy. Oh. This poem is dedicated to Rock Hudson, and this one is also, I believe, in Stonewall's legacy, Morals Clause. The stalwart Hollywood tall construction imploded. A saturated tan salon peach fade to wan white. Lanky death throes of a made-to-order star on a fainting couch, once used for casting the role of the invisible flame. Pool boys divvy up straight exchange wealth before the corpse draws cold. Shudders from a fevered dream of studio sets and beautiful blondes. Tabloid-hungry boyfriends bottle beefcake night sweat into perfume to spritz to the tune of Judy, and sell to the orgiastic shutter clicks of paparazzi glee. Size 13s kick the slick sheets of a former giant who loomed over the titles of melodramas and sex romps where the gay acted straight, acted gay, sporting Doris Day's virginal 90s to show up the sacrificial, effete comic relief, the submissive to Hayes-approved dominance. Acres of photoplay spreads dedicated to bearded ladies, publicity puff pieces with the lazy authority of burgers and scotch consumed over a prolonged masculine Sunday. He once left his Turin blurry face on a dinette napkin, now secreted in a camphor drawer, safe for future profiteering. When he was playing stud poker with John Wayne, could he have imagined he would become an emaciated, gnarled saguaro without bloom? Cradled by Our Lady of AIDS, who did more than anyone since jewelers could have cut glass on the hard, brittle, white, Reaganite unconcern. Did the astrologer to the stars divine his death in her zodiacal zigzags or Lipton tea leaves, or just through reading The Inquirer? Box office power kept the Butch Wrangler from inky confidential destruction. His life a commodity, his death a commodity. Humanity just a celluloid commodity. 6'4" hunk of virility, not Gibraltar rock at all, but clay. Ashes may have drifted from LA to his Hudson River namesake. Christened by Wilson, rejected by Christ. He rose again in Dynasty reruns. He's now entombed in the rubble of forgotten contractual universal roles shown to a shrinking audience. But all we can see is that familiar mid-80s, haggard, hallowed face of gay martyrdom. This poem is based on a character from my favorite movie, Almost Famous, Penny Lane. I played the part of Penny Lane, the golden god traded me, for control of every frame in my shearling fur, sweating Heineken during a lull in the tour. I half seduced the drummer who hid the gay, after spending months in the funky, side of himself behind the college, smell of his armpits in hotel rooms, uncomfortable fucking behind secret locked doors, the all-star hookup rocking the second-hand bus. Muses cannot be traded like his unwashed bed linen. The golden god came so easily, my absence can break up the band. With eternities mistakenly tattooed on thin arms and eyes cloudy from mirages of better lives, I shared, strummed the other girl. Temporary fantasy babes, we clung to the stage with you and ignored the roadie. His bare legs as the fuzzy party screams came in delayed, pats on the ass, giving up chances of flirtatious waves. We kissed for his voyeuristic pleasure, his dream, happiness with real lovers and trips to Morocco. All the time knowing this was secret lust. I can command everyone's attention, I said, once we go back downstairs, sadly, except yours. I can sing every word of your traces of shame, we'll finish your chords and we'll wallow in songs I can anticipate when you need to tune a string or change the lingering smell of warmed keg suds and clove cigarettes, your pick. I dance in empty auditoriums among the butts. We stare at each other at every show, becoming the scrunched posters signifying your almost strange new persona, emerging from the fame, your almost greatness. I needed you to bask in the discard. We stood against the wall at the back of the ever-revolving world of the interesting crowd and sang different lyrics from yours, then told you to escape interiority and the never-ending adventure. You were great, allowing you to believe we were all okay, while singing Tiny Dancer with a rueful smile on my lips. Next year I plan to go to Morocco at long last. I'll wear my sunglasses and fly away to a better rock and roll legend. Last few. This one's for the sci-fi fans. Phaser set to stun. We gays don't figure in adolescent sex dreams of bedding tri-boobed blue beauties or conquering hostile galaxies with verve. We're just sexless pariahs, or paternal figures banished to forgotten planets unvisited, except for the off-chance heroes seek digestible maxims. Contractually forced to mentor whiny boys, weapon training them to be real men, rewarded with loveless death, killed off in the first episode. Apparently gays cannot survive space. Escape pods mysteriously tampered with. Someone must go down with the spaceship we were never allowed to design. Lesbians fare no better, written off to make room for straight women. The plot lifted from second-wave feminism. In the future, heteronormativity is the spice. Gaff tape chafing Carrie's breasts like the tug from a drag queen sack. Clad in draped virginity and cinnamon rolls, flirting with the rogue, dull kink, locked in an incestuous kiss. We should just stormtrooper this studio set with phasers set to stun. No time to wait for inclusion. Let's wage Battlestar Galactica. Beam ourselves up. No one is doing it for us. Stop, drop, and vogue Shatner style. The awkward pause is not found in Shakespeare. Wield lightsabers in more vibrant colors. It's outer space. Why are we still chained to Earth? Thank you. Do many of you remember the old Western Shane with Alan Ladd? Shane. Like the boy in Shane, I could have cried Dad all day to a back, or rather a face, a mind immersed in the Westerns from his childhood. I feel like I wasted all those Saturdays and Sundays he promised but never took me to the park. I dreaded each theme song as I knew it would be another hour of daylight lost. Less time with the swings, the slides, and my one-day friends. Perfunctory commercial break time orders, go outside, or grab me a beer or a tall glass of ice water. His throat parched from the open mouth reclining in his lazy boy. As I would bring his beverage, he would offer the butchifying tip or comment, be into sports, you'll find more friends. I'd be spared as soon as the guns went bang again, or the actors war whooped, when John Wayne sneered and took his big crotch walks. I can recall my boredom. The prairie held so much fascination for him. How can a mere child compete with mythology or idolized masculinity? I was the strange son who played with dolls, liked to read, and made up stories in my head. I spoke to fictional characters more than I spoke to anyone. The West was won and lost in one. The horses were tripped. The villains were bested in the shootouts. My father could outlast any bonanza marathon. I understand now this was his escape from responsibility, from the life he did not want, from the life he did not even seem to choose. The 10-year-old him who watched these fantasies the first time wouldn't accept the man he had become. He needed to teleport himself to a world without family, without the needs of others, just him, a horse, a bedroll, and the empty horizon. A gunfight, a saloon brawl, a new love interest in every frontier town, all of it. I can still see him with a Budweiser and an invisible Stetson, oblivious to the son who needed affection. Yes, I am surprised he did not take his Jeep, ride off into the sunset with the touching addition of some adoring boy yelling his name, knowing he could just as well ignore the sound and ride away. Thank you guys so much. You've been great. I'm excited to hear Anna Dell and Jim Reed. Thank you so much for coming out on a Saturday night. This is based on one of my favorite poems, and it's kind of become, films, and it's become one of my favorite poems, Vertigo. So I started a bit weird, so don't freak out. I'm okay. Go on. Make me over into someone you love better. Judy to Madeline to Judy, class to trash to class in your mind. I give you vertigo, fling me from the bell tower. I'll conceal my mole, shroud my identity in the shreds of an invented insanity. Wear last season's style. I give you vertigo, fling me from the bell tower. A ghost of a fake past, I'll materialize in the green. Should I have kept that necklace, painted reminder of my treachery? I inspired the dolly zoom. The view threw you off balance, but you mastered me with that kiss under a red sequoia thatched sky. I give you vertigo, fling me from the bell tower. Gray suit over blonde to get your hitched cock off. For love, I will let you, the oh shucks bachelor, finger the whorl of my updo. We will skip dinner and drive directly to the site of my sin. You never cared much from my point of view. The betrayal is the cure. I give you vertigo, fling me from the bell tower. The fog of San Francisco obscures the dangerous obsession of a death-jilted ex. The endless hills shape the plotted contours of our fate. I'll land, spread eagle on the mission, a perfectly spliced blade, technicolor demise. So many gazes, who owns the final view? You give me vertigo. I'll fling myself from the bell tower. Thank you.